It's recording now. Hi guys. Hi Polly. Hi Olivia. Oh yeah, y'all are you're at school. You're at co-op. You and Henry, right? But Maggie's at golf. Polly's at home. Polly, what you need to do is you need a fun picture since you don't go on camera. You need to like replace your name there with something fun.
What does it have right now?
Your name. That's it.
Okay,
I'll
find
don't
something
remember how to
suitably
do it.
unhorrifying.
What?
I'll find something hopefully unhorrifying.
Sounds good. All right, we'll wait a minute for Henry. Olivia, have you mailed me your test yet?
Yes, I did. Okay. It should be coming like either yesterday or today.
Okay, cool. I got everybody else's test. It's kind of fun to get mail. I kind of like that. I have not graded them yet, I'm sorry to say. I had a super busy weekend. My brother-in-law's been here and my kids were home and it's just hectic. So I have not graded them, but I will. So while we're waiting, where is Henry? You're with him. Where is he?
He went to the bathroom a few minutes ago, but he's doing it from his laptop.
Okay.
So
cool. No problem. How did the homework go? Like, how were the word problems? Have you guys graded? I didn't even send it till last night. So, like this one.
Like, I feel like I did okay on it. Like, my mom hasn't graded it yet.
Okay.
But, like, I wasn't really struggling with it. It was just finding the time to do it because I was also very busy this week.
Yeah.
So...
You know, I was doing this, like, when I give you guys these worksheets, part of the reason I don't always send the solution, like this week I didn't send them till Sunday, because I don't have the solutions. I actually have to do every worksheet that I give you guys. And so this one, I kept doing it wrong. Like, I kept getting headwind and tailwind and upstream and downstream, so then I would get a negative answer. So I'm like, no, that's not right, and I would have to fix it. So I did it wrong, like, over and over and over again. So I don't know. I was distracted. But do you guys feel pretty good overall about systems? Like, can we move on? Does anybody want to go back and talk about anything with systems? Here's what I'm going to do when I send you the homework, which will be tonight or tomorrow. Okay, I don't have it done yet. I am going to give you like we're not going to have a whole test. We're going to have a quiz about solving systems, okay? Because up until this point, we've not done like the full chapter just because of the way this curriculum is and the order I prefer to do it in. Like, I kind of switch around between two different books. So anyway, I don't feel like it's like time to have a whole test, but at the same time, I want to have you guys like do a little quiz on the systems before we move on, okay? So I'll send that to you with your homework. What we're heading into, we're skipping chapter 4, okay? Unfortunately, it's kind of sad because chapter 4 is matrices, and I love matrices. It's one of my favorite things in math, but they're kind of outdated. We just don't do matrices. There might be like one matrix question on the ACT or SAT, but that's it. Like, it's just not it's kind of an outdated thing. So we're skipping it.
I use them basically every day. And when
You
I get them, thankfully, it's almost all under the hood. So I actually don't need them.
What do you use them with?
They are kind of how animation and any computer visualization works.
They use
and
matrices.
They're actually really cool and nightmarish and entirely automated.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think what we don't do anymore is like, we have computers that multiply and solve and do the matrices, so it's a waste of time to learn to do them by hand anymore. So all of that to say, we are skipping chapter 4. We're skipping the beginning of chapter 5, and we're moving straight to section 5-4. So I'm going to do the whiteboard thing I did last time, at least for the beginning. let me see if I can do this. Okay, so if you want to label your paper, hold on. Get some stuff out of my way here. Okay, so if you want to label your paper, this is 5-4, what's it called? Quadratic something. Factoring quadratic expressions. Ah, where did it go? Dang it. Oh well. So what we're gonna do today is kind of lay the groundwork for the next like quite a few lessons that we're gonna be doing. So we're gonna review factoring. Now, I know that Maggie and Olivia just were doing, what's it called? Algebra 1. So you probably recently factored, but you might have learned it a little bit differently. So I want to kind of teach you my method of factoring, and then you can decide, you know, what you want to use. But we're going to review factoring because we're going to do a lot of factoring coming up in the next, I don't know, the next little while. So before we review factoring, here's what we're going to do first because factoring is essentially like the opposite of multiplying in algebra. So first, let's just do this as a practice. Write this down. What we're going to do here is multiply two binomials. Okay, and you possibly you learned to do this by doing FOIL method, first, outside, inside, last. I don't really teach it that way because it doesn't translate to any other multiplication, whereas the way I teach it, you still get the same answer, you still do it in the same order, but then later it translates better to other things I'll teach you later. But what I do is you take this, the first one on your first one, and you multiply it here and here. You're essentially distributing it to both of those, okay? So 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Don't forget to square that x, okay? You've got two x's, that's 6x squared. And then 2x times -5 is -10x. Remember that a minus and a negative are the same thing. So you cannot forget that that's a negative right there, okay? Then we come to the 1 and we distribute that. That gets multiplied by both of those. 1 times 3x is 3x. 1 times -5 is -5. Okay? And pretty much always your middle right here, the outside, inside, the OI of the FOIL method will have like terms and you combine. So my final step, -10x plus 3x, oops, is a minus 7x. You guys tell I've been doing this a lot now. I can write so much better on this little whiteboard. I'm like becoming an expert. I'm going to learn so many new things coming up. You guys are just not even going to know. So this is the quadratic, we call this a quadratic expression, a quadratic trinomial. It's whenever it has a squared, okay? So what we're going to learn today, what we're going to review is factoring. I'm going to kind of teach it from the beginning, but essentially what we're learning is if you started with this, how do you turn it into this, okay? Olivia and Maggie, do y'all remember factoring? Yes? Yeah? Okay. Henry, do you remember factoring? You're the only one I can't see. Do you remember factoring? Okay. We're going to review it. Henry, you look really far away from your computer. Okay. Oh, I see. You kind of are. You're not too far. All right. So this may be a different way. Henry learned this way. If I had to review this with Polly, which I can't remember if we really did this in geometry, he learned this way. But I might use different language than Maggie and Olivia learned, but it's the same thing. And later, part of the reason I'm showing you this way is because it's easier for bigger problems. Okay, this is called the AC method. I don't know if you guys have I don't know if you know that, but anyway. So what you do though is whatever is right here in front, in this case it's just a 1, gets multiplied by this back one, and you write it over here. This is a super easy one to start, okay? And then you write factors that make this. I shouldn't have chosen this easy one, but whatever. 1 and 7 are my only choices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to rewrite 8h, okay? And I'm going to leave the h squared, but I'm going to rewrite 8h as 7h plus 1h, or just h, okay? So I'm taking this step by step by step. Now, the next step is that I look at these two, okay, and I see what they have in common, and I factor it out. They both have an h. I'm going to take out an h, and here I'm left with h plus 7 in parentheses, okay? Over here, it's already h plus 7. What I'm going to do, though, because of the way that this works, I'm going to show taking a 1 out so that it lines up the way I need it to, okay? So I take a 1 out, which, as you can see, does not change this at all, okay? Leaves it h plus 7. Then, if you did it right, okay, if you did it right, this and this should be the same, okay? If you did it wrong, they're not going to be the same. Once you see that they're the same, we're going to, essentially, this is called factoring by grouping. We're taking that out. We're dividing that out, okay? So when I take it out from here and here, what I'm left with, and we put this in parentheses, is an h plus 1. Now, Maggie and Olivia, you can unmute or you can just do this. Is this the way you learned this? Yay or nay?
Like, I'm pretty sure this is the way I learned it, but like if I needed help, my dad would show me in a different method. So
right. Okay. But this is how your curriculum taught you. And Maggie, is this new to you, or do you understand?
It's a little different, but I understand it.
Okay, awesome. All right, that was a super easy. Let's do a harder one where you can see the value of doing this. Henry, do you remember this? Good. All right, let's do this one. 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. This is one where if you do it the other way, you kind of almost just have to use trial and error to get it, but you doing it this way, it's a lot faster. So you multiply, okay? 2 times 12 is 24. So you come over here, and then you can write all the different factors of 24. If you immediately know which one you're looking for, you don't have to write them all, but for the sake of this problem, I'm going to write them all. Okay, so we have all of these. And then I'm going to look at my choices, and I'm going to look at the middle here, the 11, and I'm going to say which set, okay, of factors when added or subtracted will make an 11, all right? And that would be 3 and 8. So then I come back over here, I rewrite 2x squared. In place of the 11x, I'm going to put 3x plus 8 or 8x plus 3. It does not matter what order you put it in. Just make sure they both have an x. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. If I had done 3x plus 8x, I would still get the same answer in the end, okay? A few things change in the middle, but you still get the same answer in the end. So we separated out the 11, okay? Then we come and we look at just the first two, and we can take out a 2x. They both have a 2 and they both have an x. Now, we have not reviewed like factoring out a GCF or anything, but that's what I'm doing here is factoring out a GCF, okay? I don't know if we need to review that. If we do, I will be happy to spend some time reviewing that if you guys need that. We're left here with x plus 4, okay? Then we look at the next two. We've got a 3x here, or I'm sorry, a 3 goes into both of them. That's our greatest common factor. Here we're left with an x and a plus 4. And we know we did it right because this matches this. Okay? If it doesn't, then it's wrong. When you see that, you bring out the matches, cross them out, and we're left with 2x plus 3. That's what's left. You don't have to cross them out, but I think it gives you a really good visual of what's left inside. Polly, did you do this way when you learned this?
Yes,
Okay, so this is clear to you.
indeed.
Awesome. You guys are so easy to teach. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do this one. 3y squared minus 4y minus 15. 3y squared minus 4y minus 15. Okay, so first thing we do is multiply right here. 3 times 15 is 45. Okay, then we think of factors of 45. Well, obviously 3 and 15, that's how we got to this point. There's also 9 and 5. Are there any other factors? 45 and 1, but 9 and 5 will work to give us a -4 if our 9 is negative. Now, when you're dealing with a minus, with a negative, the order over here doesn't matter, but you do need to make sure the minus is in front of the correct one. Like to end up with a -4, my bigger number needs to be negative. So that's super important. So we're going to go 3y squared minus 9y. Actually, I'm going to back that up because I want to do it this way for a second because I want to explain something. You can do minus 9y right there. You're going to get the same answer, but there's something I want to show you. So I wanted to go this direction so I can show you this. Okay, let's switch colors because it's fun to have different colors. Let's look right here. The only thing they have in common is a y. So the y comes out, but we're left with 3y plus 5. Okay, now this is what I wanted to show you. If right here is a negative, then right here is going to be a negative, no matter what, okay? And then when you take out a negative, that turns the sign inside to the opposite of what it was. And I'll show you what I mean. Like here, they have a 3 in common. So I'm going to take a 3 out. This was a -9, but I took out a -3. So now I just have a positive 3y. This was a -15, but the sign changes. And if you get confused about that, again, those two should match up. Okay? If you have a negative in there, you know you did something wrong. So then this is what they have in common. 3y plus 5. And outside that is y minus 3. We can cross those out if we want to. Okay? And then that is factored. Any questions about that one? All right, let me look at the next one. Hold on. All right, let me see what they have. Yeah, okay, so can I erase? Yep. Speak now and forever hold your peace. Okay, write this down because we need to review this. Difference, this is a special factoring situation. Difference of two squares. You need to be able to recognize this and factor difference of two squares. Okay, so let's do an example. That kind of is light. I like playing with all the different colors. Okay, so difference of two squares, here's the formula for it. This is just a formula, we'll do a problem. It's if you have something like a squared minus b squared, okay? It can be in parentheses or not in parentheses. If this is your problem, okay, and you're supposed to factor it, that means both terms have a square root, which we're actually gonna talk more about in just a minute, or a little bit. What you do is you take the square root of the first one and put it in the first position of both. You take the square root of the second one, put it in the first position of both. One gets a minus, one gets a plus. It's called difference of two squares. It's one of the easiest ones if you remember it, okay? So let's do an example. Let's do 9x squared minus 4y squared. Now, it's the formula is difference of two squares, so it has to be subtracted. That's one of the things. And then they both have to have a square root, okay? Square root, remember, is a number times itself, okay? So the square root of 9x squared is going to be 3x and 3x, because 3x times 3x is 9x squared. The square root of 4y squared is 2y, because the square root of 4 is 2, y squared is y. And then one gets a minus, one gets a plus. Difference of two squares. Pretty much, at least for what we're going to be doing, if you have something that you're asked to factor, okay, and it's a binomial, meaning it's 2, and has a minus, it's probably difference of two squares, okay, almost certainly. All right, let's look at another example. So the examples I want to do in this little section are examples that the directions would say like factor completely, okay? Write this down, 18b squared plus 24b minus 10. So here's the deal. In Algebra 1, factoring is like an entire chapter, right? Like you factor and you learn each little bit. In Algebra 2, we get like one review with all of the factoring that you learned, okay? You get like kind of one review section. So I know we're teaching a lot, but it seems like you guys are good with it. So a problem like this, okay, before you even, if you got big numbers like this, check and see if there are greatest common factors that can come out. Like in this case, these are all three even, okay? So before I even factor, I can take a 2 out. And if you don't take out a GCF, you're not gonna have it factored completely, okay? When I take a 2 out here, I get 9b squared plus 12b minus 5. After we take that 2 out, then we turn around and factor, okay? So you still have to factor, but the 2 is out here. And just don't forget that it's out here, okay? So we're gonna do this. 9 times 5 is 45. We already made a list of the 45s earlier. You can look at that list or just write a new one. But looks like 15 and 3 are gonna be our choices, right? So I need a positive 12, which means my 15 needs to stay positive and my 3 needs to be negative. So I come over here, I'm gonna leave my 2. I'm just gonna I'm gonna do this, like put this 2 outside these big brackets so that it doesn't affect what I'm doing inside, because I don't wanna forget about it, but it also, I don't wanna get it confused. So I'm going to take 9b squared. I'm going to rewrite it so that it's plus 15b minus 3b. Okay? And brackets work the same as parentheses. You just use brackets if you want like a bigger part. Okay, so I'm going to put my 2 here. I look at this. They have a 3b in common, right? So inside is a 3b plus 5. And then if you go here, okay, remember I said if it's minus, you're going to bring down a minus. You always are. This 3b and 5, they have nothing in common, but we can put a 1 there because we are changing the sign. We're changing the sign to be 3b. Hold on, I've got a bump on my table. Okay. 3b plus 5. All right.
Miss Tiffany, Maggie left.
Yes. Yeah, you know what? She was possibly going to have to leave. She's pretty mad at everybody, and she said if she can't handle her anger, she's going to have to just go. So somebody must have done something. I'm just kidding. She's at a golf tournament.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I don't know.
It was Polly's fault. Polly, it was you.
You were the only one talking, Tiffany.
Oh, I'm a miserable failure.
She's at a golf tournament, and like when somebody finished, she was gonna have to go. All right, so when I come down here and bring it all together, I put my 2 in the front and I just have regular parentheses. Okay. Any questions about that? So what I recommend is with some of the, I didn't mean to clear that. I hope y'all had that. At the beginnings of some of the problems, just see if there is a common denominator, okay? And take that out if you can. Let's see. I don't know. This one isn't ending us now, but it's going to soon. So I'll let you know. When it does, you've got the second link, right? I probably should just make it the same link, but I don't know how to do that. All right, so the next thing I want to do is review or kind of teach/review radicals. Who likes radicals? Radicals. All of this is like laying the groundwork for when we start quadratic equations next week and quadratic formula and completing the square and graphing parabolas. Super fun, right? So enjoy this week. This week we're just laying some foundations. Okay, I'm gonna teach you again. You might have already learned this if you've been taught by me. Then I've taught you this way. If you haven't, then you don't know my way. This is simplifying radicals. First of all, let's just remind ourselves like what this is. Square root of 16 is 4. Or maybe you have the square root of 25. That's 5. Or what if you have the square root of 2? That's actually irrational. That means that it never ends and never, what's the word? Doesn't repeat, doesn't end. But if we were to get a decimal, it would be like 1.41 or something like that. But we're going to work with just simplifying radicals without getting decimals for them, okay? So when they're just like this, they have just one square root. That's pretty simple, okay? Oh, now we're running out of time. In 10 minutes. Okay, so let's look at this. if I want to simplify, let's say we're going to simplify the square root of 50. Okay? This is called simplifying radicals. Simplifying means that you are not getting an exact answer. Okay? Here's what we're going to do. Okay? We're going to, well, I should tell Olivia my story. Everybody else has heard the story. Okay, quickly, Olivia. So have you ever watched Andy Griffith? Okay. So in an Andy Griffith episode, sometimes,
Oh,
you know,
no.
he's in his sheriff's office. What, Polly?
Oh no, this.
So imagine that kind of like sheriff's office where you've got the jail like right there. You know, Otis, I think, who's the town drunk, has to spend the night in jail and stuff on there. So that's where we're talking. That's where our story is set, is in an old jail like that. And they're twins, a boy and a girl, and they get arrested and they want to escape. You remember this, Henry? So there's a girl twin and a boy twin, and the girl is pretty cute. So what they come up with a plan for escape. And when the deputy comes in and he brings their dinner, they decide that she's going to distract him. She's going to flirt with him and distract him.
Good
What are you going to
morals,
say, Henry?
by the way. Good morals. Very good morals.
Excellent. And you know, for 2020, this is a perfect, you know, I probably shouldn't even tell this story anymore. But she flirts with him. So he brings in the dinner. She's flirting with him, distracting him. Her brother, while he's distracted, runs out of the jail to escape. She then runs out after him. All of a sudden, the sheriff realizes what's happening and shoots and kills her. But listen, good news, her brother still got out of jail. So if you have a twin, you have a way to get out of jail. That's the moral of the story. Okay? So, unfortunately, you have to sacrifice yourself. So here, okay, here's how this is going to apply to math. When we are simplifying, okay, the first thing we do is we start breaking it down. Anything you can think of to break it down. I'm doing 5 times 10. You could do 25 times 2. And when you have a prime number, meaning it doesn't break down again, you can circle it and just keep breaking down until you have all prime numbers. Okay? And when you have all prime numbers, you can, sorry, I got something on my other computer. Then, here's what happens. When you look for your twins, if you have a twin, one gets to come out, but one has to die. It's super sad. The 2 doesn't have a twin. This 2 is stuck. So the 1 5 comes out, 1 dies, the 2 gets to stay underneath. So simplifying radical 50, it becomes 5 radical 2. Okay?
The 2 is the prison guard who shot the other 5.
Yes, there you go. Stuck in a jail of his own making because he feels so guilty. Okay, let's exit out of here and come back in the 115 link, okay? Because it's going to boot us out and I'm not going to be ready for it. So I'll end this somehow and then we'll come back.